Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Prof. See, I didn't want you to say good morning first because I was not going to say good morning to you first. I wanted to greet our viewers first.
And then you don't want to be rude.
Exactly. You know, I'm not a rude person. Viewers, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's another beautiful Sunday morning. Welcome to your favorite Sunday morning show, SonRise. Prof, good morning to you. How are you doing?
It's all right. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm great. Thankful for the week just gone and for this new week. You know, it's like every Sunday when we come here on the show, for me, it's always a time to kind of get ready for my new week and look forward to what's about to happen. So yeah, how was your week? Hope you had a good one.
Yes, good week. And obviously tomorrow officially is the middle of February, tomorrow. And that's infamous day. What do they call it again? 14th of February, that day.
Yes. Wow, so Prof said that means you don't tell, well, let me not say that because I don't as well. But anyway, it's just one of those things. Actually, we should have a conversation on that.
We should.
One of these days. We should, yes. Viewers, thank you for joining us again. I'm glad, Prof, you had a good week. Of course, yes, as we said, this is your favorite Sunday morning show. Please do let your friends and family know that we are live. Let them come and join us on this show. Prof, so a whole lot of things have happened in the last couple of weeks. And I'm sure you are very much aware of this. And this morning, I believe like this part of what we've discussed before is that we are going to be looking at life events, how they affect us as a people, how they affect us as Christians, how they affect our community at large. And today we're going to be talking about the power of words. That sounds like we're going to preach this morning. Anyway, Prof, yeah, that preaching is going to be for you to do. So power of words. I mean, if we're looking at recent events, for instance, especially in like the political space. So when I'm working from home, I usually have my TV on BBC News for like throughout the time I'm working. So I see the news as they're coming in and not repeating 20, 80 times. And when I watch the Prime Minister questions on a Wednesday afternoon, sometimes I actually have to like literally just say to myself, all right, don't take them too seriously. Because I sit there and I'm saying to myself, okay, these people are talking about things that affect us as a people. These people are actually discussing what affects a whole nation, right? So back to power of words. We heard last week or the week before what Boris Johnson said. And after that word, I don't want to repeat whatever he said. You know, he spoke some words. And of course, the opposition party leader, that's like the guy's, what's his name?
Starmer. Yeah,
Starmer, yes. He went out for an event with Lamy. I think Lamy is an MP.
David Lamy, yeah.
David Lamy. Anyway, they got more like attacked. And there were questions around what were the police doing? How did this happen? But of course, people were responding to what had been said before, because if the leader is comfortable saying that, of course, well, what do you expect the followers to do? And the same thing happened in America as well, because we heard what happened in America, where what was said actually, in fact, this is where someone even lost their life. So we talk about unintended consequences of spoken words. How do we justify that?
Well, I think starting from the back, yes, I think by its very definition, if the consequences are unintended, then they cannot be justifiable. But I think if I go back to the beginning of this, because it's important that the viewers understand where we're coming from. And like you said, that this is something that, you know, we're talking of real events, real activities and real things that have happened. So Boris Johnson had made an accusation against Sir Keir Starmer, which people from both sides of the political divide, came out to condemn on two fronts. First, that it was false, knowingly so, right? And secondly, that it was calculated to incite a reaction. In order to distract from the Prime Minister's woes, political woes. And then after that was said, and if people watching remember, one of Boris Johnson's advisors, in fact, his head of policy, I believe, resigned specifically mentioning that event and saying, you know, I asked you to apologize and you've refused to apologize, so I don't think I'm part of it. So, you know, there was a lot of chaos, if you like, or some degree of chaos anyway at 10 Downing Street following that. And then the following week, I think we now saw in the US that the Republican National Party, I believe National Congress, had voted to declare, to say that the events of 6th of January 2021 were part of the expression, or I think they use the terms legitimate political discourse. You know, you would laugh at some of these things.
It's allowed. Well,
you would laugh at some of these things if you thought you were watching a movie. But like you said, somebody died. At least one person, I'm sure. I think it was more than one person that died. People were fearing for their lives. The vice president was taken away to a secure location. And all of this, what the party is saying is that it was legitimate political discourse. So, you know, but let's not go too far. That's across the pond. Let's come back here. And to that point, and then you saw that after Boris Johnson had made that statement, now somebody would take issue with your characterization of that protest as saying that it was in response, because some of them would say, no, we were already going to protest and we're protesting about something else. Yeah. But the fact is that when that protest happened, or it was opportunistic because they were already protesting and then they saw Keir Starmer and then they decided to surround him. The fact is that some of the people within that crowd, well, it wasn't a big crowd, but that group of protesters then repeated what it was that they had heard Boris Johnson say. Okay, among other things being said, but I heard it because it was being played on the news. So I heard people say that, among other things being said. And so you can imagine that certainly last year, 2021, we had an MP. Remember the MP in Essex, Southend, I believe, who was killed. Somebody stopped. And then a few years, or many years before that, I think that was 7 years or so ago, Joe Cox, right? So these things are not things you take lightly. And can you imagine how it would have felt for Sir Keir Starmer and David Lammy, who were caught in that crowd? You don't know who they are. You don't know what their intentions are. Yeah. And then to hear them repeating this stuff, which is, again, not true, and certainly something that is being made up to push a particular perspective, you've got to wonder, how was the Prime Minister considering the potential consequences of what he was saying when he said these things, or was he just looking at his immediate need to avoid a political, well, from his perspective anyway, a political demise? Okay, and this is the question we're asking, right? And we have to ask about, again, it's easy to talk about these things and talk about other people, but when it comes to us, at what point do we make that conscious decision to say whatever it is that we were going to say, even though we know that this may not actually be in the best interest of everybody? But we go ahead and say that thing because there is something we're thinking of in the very moment I want to achieve, whether we feel annoyed, whether we feel something has offended us, and then we just let rip, not thinking of what could follow after that. We say certain things that are hurtful and then we can't take them back. I think that when we come back after our break, I think that we need to, after the Spotlight Minute, we need to really consider what this means for us. But Bibby, I think we have a special Spotlight Minute today, don't we? Yes,
we do, Prof. I know if any of you are just joining us, viewers, welcome. We do have a special Spotlight Minute today. And what we are doing is basically just replaying an episode that we had a few weeks ago, where our guest was talking about our experience and what she took away from it. And we're going to try and do this a bit more. You know, when we've come across a few episodes like that, we want to replay it just to reinforce the message to all of us. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, it will be our Spotlight Minutes. See you soon.
See you.
Our highest call is not to work for God, but to walk with God. We are not employees, but sons, daughters, and friends of God. Our relationship with him is not one of workers expecting a payout. We are joint heirs with him, so all he has is ours too. This February, let us walk with God. Those that walk with God are blessed beyond belief. God is calling, come walk with me. Every Sunday this month, we will experience an intimate walk with God. You don't want to be caught outside these encounters. Join us in person at the Rock Tower at 9:30 a.m. for a 10 a.m. start. Or if you can't come in person, make sure to join us on any of our digital platforms from 9:30 a.m. It's going to be lit and you don't want to miss a bit. See you there.
Hey sis, good morning. How? Wow, this is like August visitor, like as I say, the people that you get to see once in, I don't know, Prof, what's the meaning of August visitor?
An August visitor in January? I think we can just say January visitor, but yes, you know what you mean. There's special guests for a special segment, our spotlight guests, right?
Yes.
I think that a number of people who are watching might say, oh, don't you? That's a different face, a new face. Well, we would have you know that in House on the Rock, London Lighthouse, we have a diverse group of people with very different skills and different backgrounds. And this is just one of them. And Teju, if you don't know, she's one of the hidden figures that we have at church. So busy working during the service to support the service one way or another. I think, Teju, you're in the Treasury Department, Treasury team, right?
Yes.
So just saying for those who don't know, and she's happily married. So, just saying. And that's the way. So, by the way, Bibby, I'm going back to you before I say too much.
Shall we say that she's happily married to one of our guests on the show? So it's actually been like a couple of times already or something.
Yes,
But yes, welcome this morning, sis. So great to have you on the show. Viewers, please make her feel welcome. You've joined this very special segment of the show. I mean, this is one of my favorite part of the show, where we have people come around and come and share something with us. So this morning, as you've joined us, we'd like you to share an experience with us, just a bit to get a bit to know you more. So what would you be sharing with us this morning?
Okay, so I'll just say that when I was told about this, I felt like getting homework, so I had to think really hard about it. But what I'm going to be sharing, when I thought about everything, I'm just going to be sharing about my experience on my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. See, so you thought you had an homework to go through, and then I think it's good because that means we kept you busy, right? So that's really good. Well done, sis. You said you're going to be talking to us about your 40th birthday. Wow. So, somebody's turning 40 soon. So yes, please, let's go. Let's take it on. Let's find out about it. What do you want to share with us on that?
So, obviously, when coming up to that birthday, it's a landmark birthday, so to speak. So I had been thinking about it, and I had been feeling a little bit sort of reflective, so to speak, thinking about, all these years at 40, what do you have to show for it? What have you done? Taking stock really of things that have been happening. And so I was a little bit sober, so to speak, running up to that day. And when I tell people about, how I felt on that day itself, it was a very humbling day for me, in the sense that I got shown so much love on that day that it blew my mind. And I know I'm loved, you're loved, your family, friends and everything, but when people go out of their way to show you love, it's something else. So really, I think my husband was quite surprised because I was literally in tears most of the day, not sad tears, but I was happy. I was full of joy. And so many people around me showed me so much love. The people I expected it from, my family, my friends I see mostly, and those I didn't expect it from. So I had a lot of my cousins, my uncles, aunties, friends that I hadn't spoken to in such a long time. But it almost felt like, someone had calculated the fact that I was going to be 40 that year, and they made a special effort to get in touch with me. And it blew my mind. So I had so many phone calls. And then also two things stood out in my mind. When you have conversations with people and people actually retain what you say to them. So one of my friends, I had said to her a few, I don't know, in a conversation sometime in the past, and there was a particular biscuit I liked, and I couldn't get it anywhere else but in America, and she sent them to me. And I got this and I thought, oh my goodness, it's something she thought about, and she thought, oh, well, it's not great, it wasn't expensive, it was just a thought that, that. And then another friend of mine had said sometime in the past about how it'd be so nice to get a phone call and every hour upon the hour of your birthday. And literally, on that day, every hour she'd call, Teju, how are you? What have you done the last hour?
Wow.
I can't believe you're doing this. And, you know, it's just so many things like that. And I just felt so much love and appreciation, and it left such an impact on me.
Oh, wow. So what would you say made this experience to leave such an impact on you? Was it just because you were showed so much love, or was there something else?
I think I thought about it in the sense from the other person, that the thought that went into it, we tend to we take things for granted, you know, but the fact that somebody thought about it and thought, how would this make me feel? And they did it for me. I think that's what impacted me the most, that they just made that effort to do it for me.
Okay. Seriously, see, I feel like, yes, you're making me, well, anyway, our viewers know this because I'm still going to refer to this. But before we go there, do you want to tell us one thing, or what would you say that for people who are watching this morning, what is that one thing that can be taken away from your experience today?
I think when I thought about it, you know how, especially in the age of, your phones, Facebook, everybody reminds you of people's birthdays. And I've gone through days where I've probably woken up and I've seen an alert on my phone say, oh, it's this person's birthday. And I think, oh, I'll send a message. And then I forget. I think what I take away from that is that let's make an effort for people, even if it's a message, because you don't know how that message would impact the person you're sending it to. Yeah. So it could be, that message could be the one thing that makes a difference in the person's life, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's not a great thing to just send, oh, happy birthday, thinking about you, hope you're having a nice day. Or even if it's not a birthday, just as often as people come to your mind, make an effort to get in touch with them, because you don't know how that act will affect the person. You don't know what
Wow. Thank you, sis. Honestly, I think you're so much in the spirit there. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. And I'm sure our viewers this morning have also taken this away. You know, let's be mindful of people. Let's just be aware that there are people out there, and that little step of, of love that you show to that person might be what they actually need on the day. I just had my birthday recently, and I cannot tell you how I felt on the day in terms of the number of calls, messages, and all of those things that I received. So yes, thank you so very much. Viewers, please make feel loved our sister this morning. Thank you again for joining us and for sharing with us. We hope to have you back soon on the show, okay? Don't go anywhere. We will see you.
Thank you. I'm just thinking about what you said, and thank you for sharing. Very, very powerful.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much, sis. Don't go anywhere, viewers. When we'll be back, we'll be back after this, and then it'll be time for us to go to service. But yeah, stay with us.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Our God is a God of love, who is love and loves us like no other. His love knows no limit, no boundaries, and never fails. Yet so many live outside this immense love and have little comprehension of it. Paul prayed that we would know this love that passes knowledge. It's time to go back to love. In this life-changing series in our life classes this February, Pastor will be taking us back to love. Every Wednesday from 7:25 p.m. on all our digital platforms. Don't be late. Don't miss this, and invite others to join us too. See you there.
Oh, wow. Welcome back, Prof. Welcome back, viewers. So, normally what we would do at this point is to start build up on what our guest just said. But as we said earlier, this is a special episode, as I called it earlier. And so, yes, can we just direct you to this episode where we had Teju on and she shared her experience? In case you missed it and you want to get the full gist of what she said, please go to episode 60 of SonRise. Oh my God, episode 60? Episode 60 of SonRise, which was aired on the 30th of January 2022. So yes, that's the episode you want to look out for. So please, do go and watch it. But for this morning, let's just pick up from where we stopped just before we went for the Spotlight Minute. Not minutes now, segment. Prof, we're talking about the unintended consequence of words, right? And you've laid this very beautiful foundation about what has happened mentioned about the recent events that we've seen, but bringing it to us as a people, because from everything that we say, it's always easier to point fingers at other people. But for us as a people, as Christians, how do we ensure that when we say things to people, or when we're about to say things, we actually take a moment, to think about the consequences of those words before they leave our mouth? And I'm sure I'm putting you on the spot right now, but you're more than capable. You're a minister of God, so yeah, the Holy Spirit will help you.
Yeah, I think this is an age-old question, and I think with time and with wisdom, we learn to do a little bit better. But every so often, I think we find ourselves in situations where right away, right at the moment, we're put on the spot. Most of us anyway, and we have to make that decision. Obviously, there are some people that go out planning to cause offense or to cause harm, and we're not talking of those. We're talking of that moment where you are there, and whatever it is something has happened, right? In the case of Boris Johnson, he was asked a question. Saki Estama asked him a question, and so he was put on the spot and trying to respond. He then, said this. I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, who are we? We have to remember who we are, right? We have to remember who we are and what's most important to us. In the case of, this political situation we're talking of, politicians have something in mind. A lot of them anyway, they don't want to lose their seat. Yeah. And for many of them, unfortunately, that's the primary thing that outweighs every other thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
For us as Christians, we have to remember we don't want to lose our identity, or we don't want to misrepresent who we are. If you think of yourself as who you are, there are certain things, even if you're thinking it, thank God we can't read other people's minds, because sometimes it's right at the tip of your mouth, at the tip of your tongue, but then you hold it back. You
just have to hold it back, yes.
Exactly, right? So if you look at the book of James, you can see where he spent a lot of time talking about the power of the tongue, how such a small part can lead people to destruction, destroy lives, destroy relationships, and often it's about controlling what we say. The person who can control their tongue is actually very, very powerful and a very strong person indeed, right? Yeah. So I think that there's this thing that workmen say, that craftsmen or people who build carpenters, for example, they say measure twice and cut once. Right? You can apply that to actually speaking. Yeah. Think twice, right? Think twice about what you say before you say it. Yeah. Right? Don't be so quick to say the first thing that comes to your mind. You have to, before that conversation, as an ongoing thing, you have to ask yourself what's important. And I think for us, our identity is important. That's why we talk about who we are in Him. And if you remember who you are, that means that person says something. The funny thing, sometimes we take offense, misdirected offense, because we've misunderstood what the person said, and then straight away we just go and just say all those things. And then, of course, after you've said it and you realize that what you thought you heard was not what you heard, what do you do? You've already said what you're going to say, right? And even if what you thought you heard was what you heard, you still have a chance to represent, to be true to who you are. Okay? Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you then say whatever, because if you don't say it, you don't have to worry about unintended consequences, right? Yeah? So I think we know this, but it's just something to leave with our viewers and all of us as we go into the week, especially because tomorrow is the 14th of February.
No one should tell Prof what that day is for, please. You can clearly see he can't bring himself to even call the day what it is called. Yes, it will just.
It's a Monday, the 14th of February. I don't know what you're talking about, but yes, we do need to go to the service.
We are, yes, we did. We do need to go into service for real. Prof, thank you very much. Viewers, as Prof said, the thing is, let's just think about those words before we say it. Think about it and think twice and before you actually utter anything. And we just pray that God helps us all, because we're all kind of guilty of this, but God help us. As we said, it's time for service. And as always, Prof, I'm just going to hand over back to you to take us into service as the minister, Thank
you, Bibby. Yes. Thank you, Bibby. Well, this week, this month, very apt indeed, we are walking with God. And one of the things you learn when you walk with God is how to listen and be quiet, right? If you remember that story where Job he was so upset, through all those accusations and said, God, you don't care about me and so forth. And then God spoke, and then Job's response was, I'm going to keep quiet and and keep still because I have no response. And David also said, once has the Lord spoken, twice have I heard it, which means I took time to listen. And I think that as we learn more about walking with God from Pastor Temi, that's one of the things I believe that we're going to learn, how to be more like God. But hey, I'm not the one preaching, right? So let's see what Pastor Temi has got for us as we go to the service now and join everybody else, Hill City, of course, those of us who will be there, and Pastor Temi himself. Don't go anywhere. See you there. God bless you.
Thank you. See you soon.